Okay, let's talk about when someone, with an editor, if an editor makes you an offer and you are unagented, and this is really important. If you are unagented and an editor makes you an offer for your book, you have really just, as far as protocol is concerned, you have one shot at asking to improve the deal. And it's very simple. All you do is say, I'm really excited at the idea of working with you. I love your house. I've enjoyed speaking to you. I want to make this deal happen. Can you improve the offer? You can ask that once. You can't really bargain as an unagented writer. The things you want to look out for, that they would improve would be the advance, and chances are they'll have some money available to increase the advance. You want to look at royalty escalations. The highest royalty that you will be getting, and the point at which the royalty goes from the first royalty rate to the second royalty rate. You want to see if they will improve that. Possibly you might ask them about marketing, but typically, unless this book is such a love fest, something that everyone in-house has fallen in love with, as a new author, you'll be given a standard marketing plan, which for the most part, as you probably know, is, getting your website up and running, blogging, tweeting, getting your community of friends to work with you, as publication comes nearer. But those are the things, the advance and the royalty, that you can look for when you are unagented. You can, at that point, actually, prior to getting an offer, if someone says, we're taking this to acquisitions, you could, in fact, get an agent at that point. Guest, I'm going to get to that in a little bit because I just want to get through a few more things, and then we'll come back to you. Is that okay? Elena, okay with you? Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, if an editor says that they are taking your book to acquisitions, which is the meeting at which the big decision is made to buy it or not, you could at that point get an agent. It's probably a little late in the game, I think, just in terms of keeping relations running smoothly with the editor. If you were to get an agent earlier, that would be a better idea. But at that point, I would probably say no. And chances are, as a first novelist, there won't be much wiggle room in the offer they're giving you anyway. The exception to that is if once you have interest from one editor and you let the other editors know that someone is taking it to acquisitions, suddenly you have 3 editors who want the book. At that point, I would most definitely find an agent, because it's complicated to negotiate basically with 3 competing offers. You want a professional dealing with that. And no editor would really have a problem with that. If 3 different houses wanted the book and you are an unagented writer, they would be perfectly comfortable with you going ahead and saying, okay, get an agent, because this will work out a lot easier for everyone. All right, really quickly, because I want you to have time for questions, guest. For an agent, if an agent offers to represent you, there will typically be an agency agreement. You want to read this very carefully, as in any document that you sign. 15% commission is standard. In some cases, they might ask for a slightly higher commission for UK subsidiary rights if they use a sub-agent. In other words, if they hire someone to sell the UK rights. I have that in my agreement, but I have yet to use a UK sub-agent because my subsidiary rights manager handles everything. But 15% is the commission. You should look to see that there is a clause that allows you to get out of the agreement easily. I would be loath to sign an agreement that held you for 1 year, and some agents do look for that. My agreement and most of the agreements that I know of have a 30-day out clause, which means if it's not working, you can just write an email or a certified letter or a letter saying, thanks, this has been great, but it's not for me, and at that point, 30 days from that point rather, the agreement is over and you can get a new agent and continue working. So very important to look for that. Okay, and let's see. One last thing, because I seem to see a lot of questions popping up. I want to talk about meeting editors and agents socially at conferences and things like that, because that's really important, and it can really do some good for your career if you handle it correctly. The thing to remember is that agents and editors are people just like you. So when you meet them at a conference, talk to them as if they were any other person. Talk about what they're working on. Just generally chat with them. Don't look at them as an opportunity to sell your book, but give them the chance to meet you and think, oh, this is a nice person, I like this person. Because if they think that, I'll speak for myself, if I'm having a great conversation with you, you seem funny and interesting and smart, logically I'm going to say, well, listen, what are you working on? So you really want to wait for that. Wait for that to happen. If you start off pitching, pretty much you're going to get shut down. Not just because it's sort of against protocol, but also if you start pitching and I'm in an elevator with 10 people, before I know it, I'm going to be trapped with 10 people pitching to me, and I won't be able to get out. So look at agents and editors at conferences as an opportunity just to have fun, to meet them, to get to know them. You may make a friend with them, you might not, but just chat with them. And the best person, your biggest resource at any conference will be the writing community. So get to know your fellow writers at a conference. Don't hone in on the editor or the agent. Get to know your writers. They will help you the most. Just an anecdote about getting to know someone at a conference in a friendly way. Several years ago when I was in LA, I was hanging out in a big group of people, and this woman and I started talking, and she was really funny, and I liked her, and we didn't even keep in touch. I didn't have her email. I just remembered her name. But she queried me a while ago, and the name rang a bell, and I looked and saw that she did mention something about meeting in LA, and I read her manuscript, and it was perfect. I loved it, and I just signed her. She's my newest client. So there's a lot to be had from just sort of getting out there at conferences, having a good time, learning as much as you can, and enjoying yourself.